Are you our new mommy? The question didn't come from one child. It came from three small voices at once, perfectly timed, like they had practiced it. 3 6-year-old triplets standing side by side, their little hands moving in signs as naturally as breathing, their eyes wide with a kind of hope that hurt to look at for too long. The woman in front of them froze. Her name was Mia Carver, and just minutes earlier she had been standing in the same glittering Las Vegas restaurant while her own family smiled politely and cut her down with words they assumed wouldn't land as hard because she couldn't hear them. But Mia could read lips. And that was the cruel part. When people whispered around her, they thought they were safe. When they spoke softly, they thought they were being kind. They didn't understand that soft didn't mean gentle, it just meant quieter cruelty. That night, her parents had arranged a blind date in an elegant resort restaurant, the kind with chandeliers that sparkled like scattered diamonds and servers who moved like everything was expensive enough to be delicate. Mia had been dressed carefully, hair done, makeup subtle, a dress chosen to look confident without looking like she was trying too hard. She had wanted to believe this was a turning point. Not because she needed someone to save her. She had saved herself 1,000 times, alone. But because she was tired of being treated like a problem to manage. She wanted, just once, to be treated like someone worth choosing. Her father sat across from her with that calm, measured expression he used when he wanted to sound reasonable. Her mother sat beside him, hands folded, face composed. Her younger sister, Brooke, sat at an angle, smiling too brightly, like she'd rehearsed sympathy in the mirror and couldn't quite make it look real. Mia watched their lips as they talked to the man they'd invited, a clean-cut guy with a polite smile that kept slipping every time Mia looked directly at him. Her father's lips formed the words slowly, like he was explaining a deal, not discussing his daughter. We think it's time Mia understands her limits. Mia's stomach tightened. She didn't move. She just kept watching. Her father kept going. She needs someone patient for the long term, not a real marriage. Her sister's smile widened as if this was funny. Yeah, she needs someone really patient. The table went quiet in that uncomfortable way that happens when people realize they've said something ugly but don't want to admit it. Mia could see the man's gaze flicker, uncertainty and discomfort fighting on his face. He looked down at his water glass, then back up, then down again. He was already planning his exit. Mia's cheeks burned, but she forced her expression to stay neutral. That skill had been survival since the accident 7 years ago, the night she'd lost her hearing and gained a new kind of loneliness she never saw coming. You learn quickly that if you show pain, people either pity you or avoid you. Neither feels like love. Her mother leaned in, lips forming a softer sentence, the kind meant to sound caring. We just want you to be taken care of. Taken care of. Like she was a pet they were rehoming. Mia looked down at her hands for a second, willing herself not to shake. When she looked back up, her father was already pushing his chair back. The atmosphere isn't right anymore, he said, mouth tight. We'll go ahead. Think about it, Mia. They stood. All three of them. Not one reached for her arm. Not one paused to check her face. Not one gave her the dignity of a goodbye that included her. They walked away without looking back, leaving her sitting there like a forgotten coat on a chair. Mia stared after them, heart pounding so hard it felt like it was trying to knock her ribs open. She could still see their backs moving through the restaurant, still see them lean slightly toward each other as they walked. Then she caught it. The thing that didn't feel like an accident. Her mother turned her head just enough for Mia to see her lips. We should never have had her. Brooke's lips moved next, careless and light. She was a mistake. Mia's vision blurred. She sat very still, because if she moved too quickly she knew she would break. And she refused to give them the satisfaction of knowing they had broken her. Around her, the restaurant kept living. People laughed. Glasses clinked. Couples leaned close. Someone at a nearby table took a photo, smiling wide. The world looked so warm for everyone else. For Mia, it was silent. Not peaceful silent. Not calm silent. The kind of silent that feels like a wall you can't climb. Her fingers trembled as she reached for her water glass, and the edge of the glass slipped against her fingertips. It tipped, spilling across the white tablecloth in a spreading stain. She stared at it, almost numb, as if even her hands had stopped cooperating out of sheer exhaustion. A waiter approached, his face concerned, speaking words she couldn't hear. Mia nodded automatically because that's what people expect. She saw his mouth form the question again, slower this time. Are you all right? She forced a small smile and nodded once more. The attention felt unbearable. Every glance from nearby diners felt like judgment, or worse, curiosity. Mia pushed her chair back carefully and stood, smoothing her dress with hands that wouldn't stop shaking. The exit seemed far away. She walked with her eyes down, focusing on the patterned carpet under her feet, one step at a time, trying to keep her breathing steady. But as she passed a nearby table, her shoulder brushed a chair, barely a bump. It was enough to jolt her balance. Her purse slipped open. Her phone, keys, and small wallet tumbled onto the floor. Heat rushed to her face. She crouched down quickly, fingers scrambling, trying to gather everything before anyone stared too long. Then a hand appeared beside hers. A man's hand, steady, careful. He picked up her keys and placed them gently into her palm as if returning something precious, not rescuing her from a mess. Mia looked up. He was tall, dark hair neatly styled, wearing a suit that looked expensive without trying to scream about it. But it wasn't the suit that made her pause. It was his eyes. Calm, present, not pitying. He knelt beside her without crowding her space, then his hands moved. Clear ASL. Are you okay? Mia blinked hard, stunned. In a place like this, in a moment like this, she hadn't expected anyone to speak her language. Her hands answered automatically, muscle memory from years of fighting to be understood. Yes. Thank you. The man's mouth curved into a small, genuine smile, and his hands moved again. I'm Grant Thompson. My son is deaf, so we all use ASL at home. I saw what happened. You don't have to talk if you don't want to. Mia stared at him, trying to process the kindness without suspicion. She'd learned to be cautious. People could be kind for a reason. But something about him felt different. He wasn't performing compassion. He was simply offering it. She signed back, slower now. I'm Mia. I didn't expect anyone to notice. Grant's gaze softened. It's hard when people don't see you, he signed. But I do. He didn't ask what happened. He didn't demand an explanation. He just stayed there until she had her things back in her purse. Then he rose, offering his hand to help her stand. Mia hesitated only a moment before taking it. His hand was warm, steady, and for a split second she felt something she hadn't felt in a long time. Safe. Behind him, she noticed a table with 3 children watching her like she was the most interesting thing in the room. One little boy was already signing quickly to the other 2, his movements sharp with excitement. The 2 girls leaned forward, eyes wide. Grant glanced back at them, his hands moving in a quick sign that looked like a gentle warning. Be patient. Mia's lips twitched, the smallest hint of a smile trying to survive in the wreckage of her night. Grant turned back to her. They're triplets, he signed. The deaf one is Leo. The girls are Daisy and June. They don't always understand boundaries, but they mean well. Mia signed, almost automatically now. They're sweet. Grant's shoulders loosened slightly as if he'd been holding tension too. They can be a handful, he signed. If you need a minute to sit or just breathe, there's an empty chair at our table. No pressure. Mia's first instinct was to leave. To run out into the Vegas night and let the heat and neon swallow her pain. But another part of her, the part that had been invisible for years, wanted to stay for 1 minute in a place where she wasn't treated like a burden. She signed. Okay. Just for a minute. Grant led her to the table and pulled out a chair. The children's faces lit up like someone had turned on a light inside them. The little boy, Leo, signed carefully, slower than the others, making sure she could read every movement. "Hi. I'm Leo." Mia crouched slightly so she could meet him at eye level and signed back. "Hi Leo. I'm Mia." The girls waved enthusiastically. Their signs were clumsy in places, but earnest. "You sign like us," Daisy signed. "Dad taught us because of Leo," June added, proud. Mia felt something loosen in her chest. Not fully, not all at once, but enough that she could breathe again. For the first time that night, she wasn't alone in her silence. And then, with the boldness only children have, the three of them stepped closer, hands moving in unison, eyes shining like they had just made a decision for the universe. "Are you our new mommy?" Mia didn't answer right away. The question hung in the air, not heavy in the way adult questions were, not loaded with expectation or judgment. It was light and fragile, made of pure hope, the kind that only children could carry without fear. "Are you our new mommy?" Mia swallowed hard. Her hands hovered uncertainly in front of her chest, fingers half raised, then lowered again. She didn't want to hurt them. She didn't want to say the wrong thing. She had just been reminded, in the cruelest way, that family could reject you without hesitation. The idea of being placed into that role, even playfully, felt overwhelming. Grant reacted immediately. His hands moved quickly, gentle but firm, signing to the children. "That's not something we ask people. Remember?" The girls' faces fell for half a second. Leo looked confused, his brows knitting together. He signed slowly, carefully. "But she understands us." Grant softened. He crouched down so he was eye level with them, his movements calm. "Yes, she does. And that's special. But it doesn't mean we put pressure on her." Mia knelt too, bringing herself down to their height. Her heart was still racing, but she forced her hands to steady. She signed slowly, choosing each word with care. "I'm not your mommy. But I'm very happy to meet you." The children studied her face, reading her expression the way she read lips, searching for sincerity. Sophia signed next, her movement small and shy now. "Can you still talk to us?" Mia smiled, a real one this time. Not the polite, practiced smile she used around people who made her feel small. This one came from somewhere deeper. "Yes," she signed. "I can talk to you." Ethan bounced slightly in place, relief obvious. "Good." Grant watched the exchange quietly, something unreadable passing across his face. Gratitude, maybe. Or relief that she hadn't pulled away. The children slid back into their seats, immediately pulling Mia into their world without hesitation, like she had always belonged there. Crayons appeared from nowhere. Napkins were pushed toward her. Leo tapped the table twice to get her attention, then signed with careful enthusiasm. "I like building things. Towers. Bridges." Mia signed back, intrigued. "I like drawing and reading stories." Sophia's hands flew. "Me too. I draw horses." Ethan signed with dramatic flair. "I like running fast. Really fast." Mia laughed, the sound silent but full, her shoulders shaking slightly. "Probably faster than me," she signed. The children beamed. For the next several minutes, the restaurant around them faded completely. Mia forgot about the chandeliers, the whispering strangers, the humiliation that had driven her to the edge moments earlier. She was focused only on the three faces in front of her and the quiet rhythm of hands moving through the air. Leo showed her a drawing he'd made on a napkin, a house with 4 stick figures holding hands. "This is our home," he signed. "Dad. Me. Sophia. Ethan." Mia traced the edge of the napkin gently. "It's a nice home." Ethan leaned in closer, his signs eager. "You can come visit." Grant glanced over, ready to intervene again, but Mia lifted her hand slightly to signal it was okay. "Maybe someday," she signed softly. Sophia tilted her head. Do you get sad sometimes? The question wasn't intrusive. It wasn't prying. It was curiosity wrapped in empathy. Mia paused, then nodded. Yes. Sometimes. Sophia's eyes widened. Why not now? Mia looked at all three of them, then answered honestly. Because you're talking to me the way I talk. The children smiled so brightly it felt like a small miracle unfolding at the table. Grant leaned back slightly, watching the exchange with quiet amazement. He had seen his children open up to teachers, classmates, therapists. But this was different. They weren't just communicating. They were connecting. When the waiter came by again, Grant signed to Mia. You don't have to leave yet if you don't want to. Mia hesitated, then shook her head. I think I'll stay a little longer. Grant nodded. I'm glad. They ordered dessert for the kids, and Mia declined politely, content to sit and watch. Ethan reenacted a school play in exaggerated signs, nearly knocking over his chair. Sophia corrected him dramatically. Leo explained the story again, slower, making sure Mia could follow every detail. Mia laughed again, her chest feeling lighter than it had in years. She didn't realize how starved she had been for this. For ease. For communication without apology. For being included without explanation. When it was finally time to leave, Mia stood, her legs slightly stiff from sitting so long. Grant walked her toward the exit, the children trailing behind like ducklings. Grant handed her a simple business card, no flashy design. If you ever want to talk again, he signed, or if you just need someone who understands. Mia took the card carefully. Thank you. For everything. Grant smiled. Anytime. As she stepped outside into the warm Las Vegas night, the city lights buzzing around her, she felt something shift. Not hope exactly. Hope felt too big, too dangerous to name yet. But possibility. Behind her, she saw the children waving through the glass, their small hands moving in perfect unison, signing goodbye again and again. For the first time in a long time, the silence inside her didn't feel like punishment. Mia didn't sleep much that night. She lay in her small apartment staring at the ceiling, the glow of the Las Vegas Strip bleeding faintly through the curtains, replaying everything over and over. Her parents' mouths forming words that still burned. Her sister's careless smile. Then, just as sharply, the memory shifted to small hands signing excitedly, to Leo's careful movements, to Sophia's wide grin, to Ethan's boundless energy. It felt unreal how quickly the night had turned. She rolled onto her side and pulled her phone closer, opening her notes app. Writing had always helped her organize her thoughts when the silence got too loud. She typed a single sentence and stared at it for a long time. I wasn't invisible tonight. The next morning, her phone buzzed. A message notification. Grant. She hesitated before opening it, her thumb hovering over the screen. Part of her worried that responding might shatter whatever fragile piece she'd found. But curiosity won. The kids won't stop asking about you. No pressure at all, but would you like to come by this afternoon? Just to say hi. Mia smiled despite herself. She typed back slowly. I'd like that. Grant sent the address a moment later. It wasn't near the Strip. It was tucked into a quiet residential area, far enough away that the city noise softened into something manageable. Mia stood in front of her closet longer than she meant to, debating what to wear like it mattered. In the end, she chose comfort over appearance, jeans, a soft sweater, hair pulled back. She wasn't going on a date. She was visiting people who had already seen her at her most vulnerable. The drive felt longer than it was. When she pulled up to the house, she paused, hands gripping the steering wheel. It was large, but not intimidating. Clean lines, wide windows, a front porch that looked like people actually used it. Before she could knock, the door opened. Grant stood there, smiling, already signing. You made it. The house smelled like something warm and familiar, garlic and bread maybe. Family photos lined the walls. Not staged, not polished. Just real moments frozen in time. Before Mia could take it all in, 3 small bodies collided gently into her legs. "They're here," Sophia signed loudly. Mia laughed, instinctively kneeling down. "Hi." Leo stepped forward, holding something carefully in both hands. He opened his palms to reveal a smooth blue stone. "This is a worry stone," he signed seriously. "When you feel bad, you rub it. It helps." Mia's throat tightened. "Thank you, Leo. I'll keep it." Sophia thrust a bracelet toward her next, colorful beads strung unevenly. "I made this. The colors are happy." Mia slid it onto her wrist. "It's beautiful." Ethan shoved a folded piece of paper into her hands. "This is us," he signed. She opened it to see a drawing of 4 stick figures holding hands. "We're friends now." Mia nodded, blinking fast. "Yes. We are." Grant watched from the doorway, arms folded loosely, emotion flickering across his face. He signed to her. "They planned this all morning." "You didn't have to do all this," Mia signed. Grant shook his head. "We wanted to." The afternoon passed quietly, easily. They sat in the backyard on a blanket while the kids played a game that involved signing animals and acting them out dramatically. Ethan insisted on being every loud creature. Sophia corrected everyone's signs with exaggerated seriousness. Leo stayed close to Mia, showing her how he folded paper into small towers. At one point, Sophia looked up suddenly. "Do you live alone?" Mia nodded. "Yes." Sophia frowned, thinking hard. "That's sad." Mia considered correcting her, but instead signed honestly. "Sometimes. But not today." As the sun began to dip lower, Grant signed. "Dinner's ready." They ate together at a large wooden table, passing dishes back and forth, signing over each other, laughing when someone misunderstood a sign. Mia didn't feel like a guest. She felt like she had slipped into a rhythm that already existed, one that didn't require explanation. After dinner, the kids showed her their rooms. Leo's was filled with models and half-built structures. Sophia's walls were covered in drawings. Ethan's floor was barely visible under sports equipment. When it was time to leave, the kids hugged her tightly, each one signing something different at once. "Come back soon. Don't forget us." "Promise." Mia signed back. "I promise." Grant walked her to the door. "Thank you for coming," he signed. It meant a lot to them. It meant a lot to me too. As she drove away, the worry stone warm in her pocket, Mia realized something else had changed. For the first time since losing her hearing, she wasn't trying to fit into someone else's world. She had stepped into one that made room for her. Mia's life didn't change all at once after that day, but it shifted in a way she could feel in her bones. Her visits to Grant's house became something she looked forward to instead of something she questioned. At first, they were casual. Dinner once a week. Helping Sophia finish a drawing. Sitting on the floor with Leo while he explained a new design he wanted to build. Racing Ethan in the backyard and pretending not to notice when he let her win. Nothing was rushed. Nothing was labeled. And that was what made it feel safe. Grant never pushed. He never hinted. He never treated her presence like a solution to anything missing in his life. He treated her like a person who had shown up and chosen to stay, and that mattered more than grand gestures ever could. One evening, after the kids had gone to bed, Mia and Grant sat on the back porch. The desert air was cooler, quiet. The city lights were distant, softened by the dark. Grant signed slowly, carefully. "I should probably tell you something." Mia nodded, her hands resting loosely in her lap. He took a breath. "When the triplets were born, I thought everything would be fine. We had plans. A future. But when the reality hit, my wife couldn't handle it. 3 babies, 1 deaf, no sleep, no quiet. She left when they were still infants. No fight. No warning. Just gone. Mia watched his hands, her chest tightening. I learned ASL for Leo, he continued. Then the girls wanted to learn too. I stopped chasing the life I thought I was supposed to have and focused on the one in front of me. Mia sighed gently. You did good. Grant smiled, small but real. I try. There was a pause, comfortable, not awkward. Then Grant signed again. The kids feel safe with you. And so do I. Mia's heart skipped. She didn't pull away. She didn't lean in either. She just stayed. I don't want to rush anything, Grant added. I just wanted you to know that this isn't just about convenience or gratitude. Mia nodded, her expression soft. I feel the same way, she signed. I didn't think I'd ever feel like this again. Like I fit somewhere. Grant reached for her hand, stopping just short, giving her time. May I? She placed her hand in his. The connection was quiet, steady. No sparks. No drama. Just warmth and understanding. The kids noticed long before either of them said anything. Sophia started insisting Mia sit next to Grant at dinner. Ethan began asking if Mia was staying the night, every night. Leo signed once, very seriously, while working on a paper bridge. You make our house calm. That night, Mia cried alone in her car before driving home. Not because she was sad, but because something she didn't realize she'd been missing had finally found her. Months passed. Grant never mentioned his work beyond vague references. Mia didn't ask. She assumed he was comfortable, maybe successful. But she cared far more about the way he always made it home for dinner, the way he listened, the way he signed with patience even when he was tired. Then one afternoon, Mia arrived early and found blueprints spread across the dining table. Not small ones. Massive plans, detailed, labeled with project names and figures that made her pause. Grant noticed her looking and smiled sheepishly. I should probably explain that too. He told her then. About the company. About the buildings. About the wealth. He'd never wanted to define him or his children. Mia listened, not impressed, not intimidated. That doesn't change anything, she signed. Grant exhaled, relief clear. Good. That night, as the kids played quietly, Grant signed something that made Mia's breath catch. I don't want a perfect family, he said. I want an honest one. And I want you here if you choose it. Mia looked at the 3 children laughing on the floor, then back at Grant. I'm not going anywhere, she signed. The children heard enough to understand the feeling, even if they didn't know the words yet. Leo signed first. You're part of us. Sophia nodded hard. Like family. Ethan grinned. Don't leave. Mia knelt in front of him. I won't. For the first time in her life, the word family didn't feel like a test she could fail. A year passed without Mia realizing how deeply her life had changed. It wasn't marked by big announcements or dramatic turning points. It showed up in smaller ways. In the way mornings started with Leo tapping her arm to show her a new design. In Sophia leaving drawings on Mia's pillow. In Ethan racing her to the mailbox every afternoon and laughing when she pretended to lose. It showed up in the way Grant looked at her when he thought she wasn't paying attention. Not like someone afraid she might leave, but like someone grateful she had stayed. One evening, they all sat together in the backyard, the desert sky painted with soft orange and purple streaks. The kids were sprawled on the grass, pointing at shapes in the clouds, signing wildly over each other. Grant turned to Mia and signed slowly. I want this every day. Mia didn't hesitate. Me too. There was no fear in saying it. No voice in her head warning her she was asking for too much. For the first time, she wasn't trying to earn her place. She already had it. A few weeks later, Grant suggested dinner at the same resort restaurant where they had first met. Mia froze for a moment when he mentioned it, memories rushing back, but then she nodded. Let's do it. The night felt different this time. The lights didn't intimidate her. The room didn't feel hostile. The silence didn't feel sharp. The children wore matching shirts they had insisted on picking themselves. They were vibrating with excitement, hands moving constantly, barely able to sit still. After dessert, Grant took Mia's hand. His movements slowed, deliberate. "Mia," he signed, "you came into our lives when we didn't know we were missing anything. You didn't fix us. You joined us. I love you for who you are, not despite anything." He knelt, pulling out a ring. "Will you marry us?" The children held up a sign they had clearly practiced hiding, their faces glowing. Mia's vision blurred. She didn't try to stop the tears. "Yes," she signed. "Yes to all of you." The kids cheered in signs and small voices, climbing onto her and Grant in a messy, joyful pile. The restaurant faded again, just like it had that first night, but this time it wasn't because of pain. It was because she was exactly where she belonged. Photos from the proposal spread online quickly. Smiles. Hand signing. A story people loved. Her parents saw them. The messages came a few days later. Soft words. Apologies wrapped in nostalgia. Claims of love that felt strangely convenient now that her life looked whole. Mia didn't respond right away. When she finally agreed to meet them, it was brief and on neutral ground. The conversation started with memories and regret. It shifted the moment her father mentioned Grant's name and work. Mia felt the clarity settle instantly. She stood, signed calmly, and walked away. No anger. No shouting. Just certainty. That night, she wrote a letter. Clear. Firm. Final. No contact. No exceptions. Not out of spite, but out of self-respect. She sent it and blocked every path they could use to reach her. The past lost its grip after that. The future filled in quietly. Their wedding was small. Intimate. Full of hands moving through the air instead of speeches. Leo stood proudly beside Grant. Sophia carried flowers. Ethan tried to race down the aisle and had to be gently redirected. When the officiant asked if Mia accepted her family, she didn't hesitate. "I do." Years later, when someone asked Mia what family meant to her, she didn't talk about blood or obligation. She talked about choice. About being seen. About finding people who speak your language, even when the world assumes you are too much trouble to understand. She looked at Grant. At the children who were no longer children. At the home filled with movement, laughter, and quiet moments that felt sacred. And she knew. She hadn't been a mistake. She had simply been waiting for the right place to belong.